If you've heard it, so have we.
If you hate it, we probably do too.
If you like it, we'll see.
But either way, we've heard it all.
Hey, Queen.
Hi, how we doing?
As good as I can be in these troubling times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just feel like every day I have to like pugil myself out of bed
I
to get up
know.
and go do things.
It feels like every week is a week without
I know.
reprieve. But
I I really want to go back to precedented times.
I know. I want to like not think about the news one
Mm-hmm.
second of the day and just frolic
Right?
and lollygag.
Yep. I I know that you just finished watching Girls for the first time, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
actively rewatching it and then finally finishing it. And I am just like thinking about the blissful ignorance of like 2014
Yeah.
millennial 20dom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so jealous. I'm so
Yeah.
jealous they got to go through that at that time.
Literally just doing whatever, following whatever whim, wherever the wind blows them, and landing on their
Yeah.
feet again right
Yeah.
after.
I know. So to every millennial, like I yearn for what you have. I yearn for what you had.
Very jealous.
Um, I'll never make fun of y'all again. I mean, I don't think I ever have, but
No, let's stop the millennial slander. Like, we're
I I actually have no issue
actually great.
with them.
I say that, and I'm
Um,
like the last year on the cusp. So,
yeah, you're pretty close.
yeah,
So I just grew up around them, so I
yeah, as one does.
I'm like, yeah, I just do. But yeah, do you just want to jump right in?
My gosh, let's jump right in because it was funny. We were talking earlier this week about what we
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do this episode about, and then all of a sudden a lot of pop like culture news started coming up. And we're like, thank God, we actually have something
Yeah,
relevant to
because
talk about.
I know at first we were like, what are we going to talk about? Nothing's happening. And then I was like, wait, this is happening. Oh, wait, and this is happening. Oh, wait, and this is
Hmm.
happening. And I was like, thank goodness. There we go.
Yeah,
Don't know what we're going to do next week, but
to be
we'll find
determined.
something. Yeah, something new will pop up.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Before we launch into this episode, I just wanted to issue a correction disclaimer. We talk about Rachel Zegler and the controversy surrounding Snow White, and I want to issue a correction about the situation I talk about with Rachel going to the Oscars while filming Snow White. She, in fact, did not make a big stink about anything. She just said, I wish I could go. Don't know what's going to happen. And it was truly the public that rallied behind her to get her a ticket to the Oscars. So it's actually not on her. She did everything correctly. And I'm proud of the public for rallying for her. Rachel stands till the day I die. Okay, here's the episode. But I feel like I really want to talk about all the stuff happening with Snow White
Hmm.
because I don't know how this got. I mean, I know how it got blown out so out of proportion,
Yeah,
but I think we also need to like ground ourselves in the reality of the
for
situation
sure.
before we scapegoat a 22-year-old actress, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
So I guess I can just give you my spiel on it.
Yeah.
For the listeners, one person I don't play about is Rachel Zegler. And here's my thing. Am I saying she's a perfect person? No, she's a theater kid.
Hmm.
But as someone who is very well versed in how theater kids move through the world, I see her game and I let it happen because you know what she has? Say it with me, kids, talent. Okay? That girl has so much talent in her pinky. Some people just can't understand it and they can't hold it in their hearts. Okay? A little background on Rachel, since I feel like I've seen almost every movie she's made
Hmm.
since she came out. She auditioned for the part of Maria, I think at age 16 or 17, was cast in Steven Spielberg's remake of West Side Story. That movie is impeccable. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. This movie comes out, it is critically acclaimed. Everyone I know who has seen it thinks it's amazing. Have you seen it yet?
Yes, we watched it together. It was like
Yes.
last year. It
Girl.
was it was very delayed. But I've
Yes.
also never seen the original like West Side Story. I've seen the musical, but
Okay.
like
Yeah, I would say the original is also really good, and I'm very about remakes, but I feel like
hmm
this makes such good improvements that I'm like, this is amazing.
hmm
I love it, and I love them both. So she gets cast as Maria. She does a phenomenal job. She has this exceptional voice and is an exceptional actress. But this movie doesn't do well at the box office because, one, it's coming out just as people are like coming out of the COVID shell. Mm-hmm. Theaters are still trying to find their footing. And on top of that, it is also paired with the scandal of the allegations against Ansel Elgort.
Yeah.
So people aren't like ready to go see this movie, but it is a phenomenal movie. I say see it. Doesn't get like the hype that it does, but they do win a couple Oscars for it. And I bring this up because there was a controversy about Snow White at this point already. So at this point, Rachel Zegler had been cast as Snow White in the remake, in Disney's remake, and she was, I'm pretty sure, filming the movie when the Oscars that West Side Story was in contention for was happening. The Oscars happened. Rachel Zegler was not invited to go to the Oscars. And I remember she did make I don't want to say make a fuss. I find that to be a little bit misogynistic or patronizing. She brought light to this issue on Twitter. Mm-hmm. The girl is on Twitter. And a lot of people were like, yeah, this movie is nominated for Best Picture. Why is the leading actress in this movie not going to the Oscars? And basically a rallying cry came from audiences, and she was then added to the presenter lineup, and she did this really, to me, funny presentation next to Jacob Elordi. Yeah. This girl's like 5'2", and this man's like, he's cast as Frankenstein, so you do the math on the height difference. Scary. But the thing is that the reason that she couldn't go is because Disney wouldn't like let her go because she was like filming a movie.
Like, you know what that sounds like? Sounds kind of like slave labor.
Yes. But, okay, so I see what you're saying, and I agree she should have gone to the Oscars. I'm so glad she went to the Oscars. But we'll get more into how I don't know what her work history is before starting in film at like 18. But there are like some like there's like workplace etiquette. Yeah. And I don't know what the conversations were like at Disney. Maybe they were hostile, maybe they weren't. But it is like, okay, you are on a job. Yeah. They can't just let you go to this event, even though it's like a night.
It's a night, yeah.
So again, it's like, it's a Sunday night. It's the Lord's Day. Let her go to the Oscars. So again, there's a lot of elements to this. I don't think anyone's at fault here. She got to go. I'm very glad she got to go. Fast forward to like a couple years later at the D23 convention. For people who don't know, D23 is the mecca for Disney adults and Disney fans to come together to get insight on what's coming down the Disney pipeline and also to engage in Disney culture. It's a very exclusive, very expensive event to go to. So again, for the Disney fans. So she is there with Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen in this movie, or is cast as the evil queen. And she gives an interview that goes absolutely viral, of her being like, yeah, this isn't about like some prince coming to save me. Like basically old movie, like he stalked her, like that's weird. And again, as an expert in theater kid, I can tell all the things, her facial movements, the way she's moving. It's just, she's giving like, we're above this. It's cool. We are going to make a movie that's about female empowerment. This does not do well for people. All of a sudden, there's like this group of people that are like rabid fans of the original Snow White.
Snow White purists.
I've never met one. I didn't know they existed. Because of my opinion of the original Disney princesses, like Snow White is the least compelling story to me because she's like asleep for half of it. Yeah. It has nothing to do with like the feminist implications. It's just that she's asleep for half of it. And I'm kind of like, is this her movie? Yeah. Or is this the evil queens? Anyways, side tangent. I feel like I brought this up, but I used to have this book as a kid that was like two sides of the story. I love two sides of the story, which is why I love Wicked. And the first side was like the original Snow White story, and the other side was from like the point of view of the evil queen, who was just fun. Like, and she was just like, I just wanted this girl to be healthy, so I like gave her an apple.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Sorry.
I know.
My bad.
It was the funniest. It was I think I still have it at home.
You should find it.
It is so funny that she's just like, I don't get why this girl won't listen to me. It was hilarious. I digress. So everyone on the internet is like, why is she devaluing like romantic love? Which I do think is a really good argument that is coming up now in feminist circles, because there was, when the whole like, go women can do anything, it was really devaluing a lot of things that were deemed as feminine, which is like romantic love or like female friendship. And like that's a part of being empowered, is like knowing how to enter those relationships with autonomy. So I understand that criticism, but I don't think Rachel was at fault here. Actually, sorry, I know Rachel wasn't at fault here, because someone found, and I will link it in the show notes, interviews from Lily James, who played Cinderella in the remake, and Emma Watson, who played Beauty and the Beast in the remake, and almost like textbook word for word, they are saying the same thing. Like, the prince is not, it's not the prince saving the princess, like it's about like her and her journey. These are Disney talking points.
Right, yeah.
And while I think that some people might deviate, and maybe like the way she delivered it was like off-putting to people, she's being fed these lines by a corporation that thinks that making Snow White into a female empowerment narrative is going to win over audiences. That will prove wrong. So then this goes on, and then the next controversy happens when the teaser trailer for Snow White comes out. She tweets this and then replies to that, creates a thread with that teaser trailer promotion saying, it's either "and always remember" or "and remember, free Palestine." Rachel Zegler, throughout the entirety of this crisis, has been vocal about her support for Palestinian liberation and a permanent ceasefire, as have many other celebrities. Now, this created controversy because people thought she was co-opting the promotion of Snow White to promote like a political agenda. And I feel twofold about this, because I do wonder, like, what is the line between like I'm at work and I'm my own person? Because like I don't know what the contracts look like for actors in terms of like, for this entirety of this period of time, you are a representative of our company and you need to abide by these guidelines. So on one hand, she is an employee that has to abide by certain guidelines. But she also is a person that can have these views, and like, according to free speech, which I feel like every now and then we decide what we want to qualify as free speech and what we don't, she is allowed to say these things. I don't think it was the wisest decision for her to like attach that onto a tweet thread about the teaser trailer about Snow White. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say, because like, if you have a contract with an employer, like, you shouldn't break it. And that's just like employee labor relations. That is just like the basics. Like, if she had found a different avenue for that, I don't know if it would have been as controversial. But apparently the story is that she tweeted this, and Mark Platt of Ben Platt's father's fame, who was a producer on this movie, apparently like flew across the country to explain to her why this was wrong. And in my head, I was like, why didn't you just call her up?
Can that be a phone call?
Yeah, I was like, why'd you have to fly across the country? That feels a little dramatic.
What would happen if you just called Rachel up?
I was like, I feel like that, like, maybe this is a big deal, but like, there's nothing wrong with hopping on a Zoom call.
I feel like that escalated it. Like, that was
like,
weird.
that felt a little weird. To like fly across the country to like talk to this like 21-year-old actress about like what she did was wrong. I'm like, you could have just gotten on a Zoom call or called her immediately. It would have been the same, I'm pretty sure. So Disney is now that the movie is out and it is not doing well, is now trying to pin the movie's failure on Rachel. They are trying to do what I believe is a little bit of a smear campaign, because I've never seen this many articles saying Rachel Zegler is to blame for the fall of Snow White. Like, I haven't seen this many about like an actor being the problem in a movie in so long. Because they're basically attributing like that singular tweet, which I totally missed, didn't know about until these articles came out. And my thing is that there were a myriad of other controversies about this movie that had nothing to do with Rachel.
From the beginning. Yeah, for sure.
Just on the basis that this is Snow White, full title, and the 7 dwarves. This is not just Snow White. There are 7 dwarves, and you think you're not going to upset the little people community? You're not going to upset people with dwarfism? Like, so there was a lot of like uproar. I'm pretty sure like Peter Dinklage was like condemning the movie from the beginning, but other like actors in the little people community were saying like, but you should cast like little people to be in this movie, you know? They did not. They CGI'd the dwarves, which
From what I've seen, little off-putting.
horrendous, very off-putting. It's just like if it, I don't know if it's like if you're gonna do this, you might as well employ the people that you're representing, which like
Right.
I'm all for giving money to the community, but also representing them well.
Yeah.
I don't think Disney's concerned with that, truly.
No, I don't think so either. Because I
Yeah,
think it's twofold. Because I think part of the critique of Peter Dinklage had was like, why is this even being made in the first place? Like, aren't we
exactly.
past this? If it's going to upset someone either way, just maybe don't make it in that like terms. But
No, but also that's another reason why this movie is
yeah.
not doing well. Is like, why are we making this movie? Snow White
Mm-hmm.
is not a movie that we were begging to have remade. People are tired of remakes at this point. And also,
Yeah.
like, the whole Disney has created this trend of like recasting traditionally white characters as like women of
Yep.
color, as they did with Little Mermaid with Halle Bailey, and now with Rachel Zegler, and then
Mm-hmm.
knowing that
Mm-hmm.
some Disney fans are going to be very racist to these women, and they don't have
For
any
sure.
safeguards in place to protect them from any of this.
They
So,
never do.
no, it's like it has been so warming to see like little Latina girls look at Rachel and be so, like, that's what's beautiful to me.
Mm-hmm.
But why did you have to scapegoat her and put her in harm's way to do that? You know, you could have created a totally new IP for
Yeah.
that. So I think that putting this all on Rachel in that one tweet just doesn't make sense.
It's wild. Yeah. It
Because
doesn't, it just doesn't correlate.
it doesn't correlate, because there are a lot of people that agree with her, there's a lot of people that disagree with her, and like
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure like those sides, like there's enough people on both sides that if people who agreed with her went to go see the movie, I think it would do well.
Yeah.
I know that there are people who are boycotting the movie. That's, again, there's like all these other factors that have
Yeah.
that like that feels like a very small piece of the pie, when like this was a doomed movie from the start.
Yeah. And it's just very strange that they would try to pin this on Rachel,
Hmm.
especially when the majority of the public no fucking idea about this tweet.
No,
The majority of the public are not sitting there watching what Rachel Zegler does. Like she's not a household name.
no, like
She's
people.
been in like two big movies except for Snow White. So it
That's my
doesn't make sense.
well.
It's
That's the
a
reason they bring it
dumb
back to
like
light, is to now be like, oh, you
yeah,
didn't know, now you know.
now you know.
So, and I
Yeah.
find that to be nefarious. I find that to be a weird retaliation against a break in
It
contract.
is.
And like there should be other ways to like reprimand someone in a workplace that don't include
Mhm.
like character assassination.
Trying to blacklist them. You're
Yeah.
trying to blacklist them. Like you're giving them a bad reputation
And
in
the
the
thing is, like,
industry.
from the start, like Rachel has just had like haters tack onto her because they are off put by her.
Yeah.
Again, they've never met a theater kid who, like, I can tell every time she gives an interview.
Mhm.
I see that girl talk and I'm like, I know you rehearsed these interviews with a hairbrush in your mirror. I bet you watch interviews with celebrities and you're like, well, this is how I would
Yeah.
answer that question. Because I did it. I know people
Yeah.
who did it. It's just something you do. It's a thought experiment. It's imagination. And now she's finally doing it and she's loving it, and like let her love it. And I really hope that she, like, for one, gets off the internet. I know it's just like, why do I have to do that? Like, I think it'd be good for you
Yeah.
at this stage in your career. Get off the internet, my sweet girl.
Mhm.
I need you to get off the film. I need you to get on the stage, okay? Because I want to hear you sing.
Yeah. Which she is in Romeo and
She
Juliet.
was in Romeo and Juliet, but she
Is
wasn't.
that done?
That's
Yeah.
done, and everyone loved it. But she just got, I'm pretty sure, a $2 million deal to star as Eva Perón in the West End musical production of Evita.
Aw.
So I'm like, yeah, go to
Go
London.
over there. Have some fun.
Go to
Have some fun
London.
abroad.
Have some fun. And here's my thing, and my quick thing about Snow White before I like conclude my thoughts about Rachel is that, first of all most of the reviews of Snow White only praise her performance.
Yeah.
They say the movie's awful, but she's
Yeah.
amazing.
Because she's talented. And that's like the end all. You can try to smear as much
Yeah.
as you want, but she's so talented.
She's talented. And that's the thing, is like, you can't put this on her because she's the only one carrying in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speak about anyone else in that because I don't care.
Yeah. I'm gonna speak on it real quick. But I'm even just gonna stick like strictly to Snow White. I know like the more like journalistic circles, they're all like, it's Rachel. Rachel's the bad one. On social media, everyone is dogging on Gal for good reason. Just because she's not that talented of an actor. She's very flat. Her delivery is the same every time she's a
No, and
character. Like,
that's my thing. She has a. I've never. The only reason, and I saw something, and I don't want to take credit for it, but I can't get. I don't know who said this, but it's not me. Someone said the reason she was so good in Wonder Woman is because she's supposed to be someone who, like, doesn't know how the world works and feels like foreign in the space. And I'm like,
yeah, I
that's
saw
just
that
her
too.
acting.
That's just her acting
Yeah, and
style.
it feels so flat in comparison to the amazing performance like Melissa McCarthy gave as Ursula.
Yeah, that's a
Like, it's
performance.
just, I don't know why she was cast as the evil queen.
I don't know why
I
she
don't
keeps getting
know.
cast at all. She's
She's very
pretty.
pretty.
Yeah.
That's I think that's what it
Good
is.
for her, she's pretty.
Yeah, but it's just like I'm not gonna go, and apparently it wasn't even like funny enough bad
Right.
acting that
Have like
people said
fun
it was
with
worth
it.
it, and I was like,
Yeah.
damn. Yeah. So again, I have not seen this
Hmm.
movie, but none of this is about like the actual movie. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. Critics are like,
Yeah.
eh. I've seen like the audience score is pretty high,
It's
but
a
because
Disney movie.
it's a Disney
Yeah.
movie. It's gonna be
I am
fine.
curious. I don't know if you looked this up, but like, what is the box office doing?
hmm
Do you know?
Yeah, so they're still under budget. I'm pretty sure like it costs about 200 or something million dollars, and they're at like 144 or 174
Okay,
million.
so
So it's
they'll probably
underperforming, and
cross it.
that's my thing is like, again, we're also not letting movies like make money anymore. And
Yeah.
obviously, I know with a Disney movie, they usually make money within the first weekend.
Yeah.
But it's like the minute it was like underperforming, all these articles came out, and so I was just like, okay,
They were ready.
yeah.
They were sitting on that.
I That's my thing. It's just like politics aside, this just like just doesn't make any logical sense when she's like the best part, as critics say, of this
Yeah.
film. So I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So my final thoughts on Rachel is that like I think she's a person that like I'm now like gonna ride or die always see her
I
movies,
know.
just because like I think she's so compelling. I really like
Hmm.
Turn Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, loved West
Yeah.
Side Story. I need to see Y2K. And I was saying that like the way she addresses things and the sort of like gumption she has about things reminds me a lot of like the way Patti LuPone kind of carries herself. But the
Mm-hmm.
difference is Patti LuPone has been around.
Yeah.
Like she has like a long career. Like she is kind of allowed to do these things, and it sucks that we don't allow young actresses to like find themselves
Hmm.
in this way, and she is kind of like growing up and coming of age in front of us. But I just do hope that, and I bet this is what's going to happen, is that she's going to maybe stick to the stage, become very
Yeah.
popular in the theater community, which is loyal to their
Hmm.
audiences and their actors, and then come back, do something that gets her even more critical acclaim, because
Yeah.
she already has the acclaim, and people are going to be like, oh my god, we've always loved Rachel. It's just like when Jennifer Lawrence
Yeah.
went away, like have a baby and came back and did No Hard Feelings. Everyone's like, oh my god, we always loved
We
J-Law.
loved you.
I'm like, no, you
No,
didn't.
you
Or
did
when Anne
not.
Hathaway came, same thing, Anne Hathaway left, came back. Don't know what she did, but she looks amazing.
Yeah.
And was just doing all these fun movies, and everyone's like, ooh, mother. I'm like, as though there weren't half the haters.
You guys were being awful to hear.
Yeah. And that's my thing. It's just like, it's so hard to watch this
Yeah.
cyclically happen to young actresses when we know that this is going to happen. So yeah, my love to Rachel. I say keep doing what you're doing. There are so many people within that community that love her. Every time I see Pedro Pascal being
Yeah.
like, I love you, girl, I'm like, if Pedro's on your side, I think you're fine. I think you're in
You're
the
fine.
right.
You're okay. You're
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, I'm really excited to see what she does next. I
know.
really would love for her to come to Broadway and do like an original musical.
Yeah. I feel like that's where she
She
belongs.
needs to originate a role.
Yeah.
Or she needs to play Eurydice. Please.
I would literally spend my entire bank account. I would go into debt you have never seen.
Girl, I'd be like, take my money, please. Oh God, I'm just thinking of her doing the Wait For Me reprise.
No, I wouldn't make it out of the
Reprise,
theater.
reprise. I would be crying.
I would pass away then and levitate to the
God,
thereafter.
If I could sing like that,
I would
you
never shut up.
Never. I would act like that too.
Me too. That's my thing. We gotta remember, if you're talented, I'm gonna let you get away with a lot. As long as you're not
That's the
being
thing.
really nefarious. Like,
Yeah, if you're not being overly problematic and you're super talented,
you know
get
what?
away
Go
with
with.
stuff,
Go for
okay?
it. Go for it.
Yeah. Ugh, man, but much love to you, Rachel.
Yes. Much love. All the best.
Ugh, love that girl. But this is actually a great segue into the next thing, because speaking of people who are always dogging on everyone's always dogging on,
Yeah.
Chappell Roan.
Chappell Roan.
Oh, do you want to talk about what happened?
Yeah, for sure. So this week, Chappell Roan, which we both love. We both love Chappell. Lover, lover, lover.
Yes.
She went on Call Her Daddy.
Sorry. Oh my god.
Anyways,
Much kisses.
much kisses, much love. She went on Call Her Daddy and did an interview there that is making the circles on social media. I think for a couple of different reasons. I think it primarily first started with a clip that circulated with her talking about motherhood and how she said that all the people that she knows who has kids are miserable. Like they're tired, like they're unhappy, yada yada. And I've seen it go in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And so I think we should talk about this first before moving on to the like second little aspect that got teased out, but we were talking about it, and essentially Chappell literally just said the parents that I know are in hell, or like they're like unhappy and they're having a hard time. And
She also clarified by saying like the parents my age.
yeah,
Which I think is important, and we'll get into that.
which she's like 28-ish, I want to say.
No, she's my age. She's 26.
Oh. Oh, okay, so like mid 20s.
Yeah, no, we're the same age.
Is she wrong though? Is she wrong?
But my thing is that like I think one, we have to focus on like what she actually said and what people are assuming she's saying. She's specifically talking about the people she knows. And for y'all don't know her friends, maybe they are in hell. And also you have to realize she's 26. If they have kids that are like 5, let's do the math, they probably had them at 21, 22. Like that's young. That is objectively young to have kids. Second of all, this girl's from Missouri.
Yep.
We need to start thinking about the context of like where people are having kids. It's very different to be having kids. Missouri's the South, right? I never know what counts as the South.
So I would count it as the South. Like my grandmother's
she
from
counts it as
Missouri,
Midwest.
but she counts it as Midwest. So I think it's kind of a gray line.
Yeah, but still, it's like rural,
Midwest, Southern,
like
rural,
working class. You know, like it's not people who have money. And so I think about these contexts, like, yeah, it could be hell for them if they they're not properly resourced. They had them young when maybe they weren't prepared. We're not even counting, like, was this a choice that they made, or is this something that they are now having to do, and maybe they enjoy it, but it's hard. And also she said kids under, like, 1, 3, 5. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Those are tough years.
Those are tough years
for mothers. Actually, sorry, I'm not saying mothers because she said parents. Everyone took it as mothers, but she said parents.
Yeah, and I think part of the issue is the what about meism, as we like to call it, of like everyone taking something and extrapolating it onto a like general public, which is not what she was doing, and that's how people were taking it, and they're blowing it out of proportion. And I know we talked about it, and we're like, maybe she's not wrong, but also maybe it is kind of just a shitty thing to say about people who are like your friends. I personally would not like my friend to say, if I were a parent and venting to you about like how hard motherhood was, and then you went on a podcast and was like,
and I was like,
man,
she's having a hell of a time.
She fucking hates this.
You would be mad at me.
I would be mad at you. And I think it's an unkind thing to say. And I'm going to bring this back once we get later into this conversation of like, Chappell really, really, really needs media training. And I know that's come up like a lot as she keeps having these kind of sound bites go viral and like everyone's like think piecing it. I think she just needs a little bit of training.
I think it would protect her even more. But I'll tie that into something because again, people are piecemealing this interview, but there's so many things that she says because this conversation about parenting, because people are making it about motherhood. It's about parenting. Because I'm sorry, it's not just mothers or birthing parents. And yeah, I'm going to say birthing parents, okay? It's not just them that are part of raising a kid. Yeah. Especially if you have 2 people and you're lucky to have 2 people raising a kid. There's 2 people that are doing that. And it's hard for both people involved, and you have to recognize that. But this was also in a conversation of like Chappell comparing her life to what her friends are going through from back home.
Yeah.
And Alex asks her, like, "Oh, do you want that?" And like marriage and kids.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, she says, "I don't know."
Mm-hmm.
She says that like, "I don't know if I'll be able to get married because Chappell is a lesbian. Like
Yeah.
in the current climate, like there's a lot of like anti-LGBTQ legislation trying to be introduced. Like that's a very valid concern."
Mm-hmm.
Especially if Roe v. Wade was overturned, maybe
So easily.
same-sex marriage could be over. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, well, my friends aren't having fun. And so I do not
Yeah.
think she had ill intent. I do think, like you said, maybe a little unkind to her friends, but also I don't know her friends. Maybe they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, it is hell.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Again, we don't know these people, but this is like, it just feels like her like thinking this out loud. Like, my friends aren't
Yeah.
having fun. Like, they like, it's hard. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, and obviously, like, I don't know, I give grace to a lot of people. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
recognizing the amount of work that being a parent is that like a lot
sure.
of people don't recognize when they choose to have kids.
Yeah.
Like we've discussed this of just like people always being like, I didn't know it was going to be this much work. I'm like,
Why not?
you are creating human life.
Yeah.
And then raising them to be Samaritans of the world. What about that
Seems
sounds
easy.
easy? Yeah. And also raising kids in this world,
In this climate. Yeah.
in this climate, and with this access to the internet and social media, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard. I think it's maybe harder than it used to be. There might have been different concerns.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But now, like, you have to, like, over parent in order to, like, combat all these other influences in their life. Like, it's hard.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there are not bright moments of it.
Yeah, of course.
And that, like, there are points where people are like, because there's this YouTuber I watch she does a lot of like horror movie content. And then she was like, I'm having a baby. And I was like, oh my God, Sarah, yay. And she talked about like the first year, and she was like, this is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. I love my kid, but she's like, do not do this if you're not willing to put in the work. It is hard work. I'm happy to be doing this. I love my kid more than anything. But there are some days that I just want to rot in bed and I can't.
Yeah.
Because I'm taking care of a human being.
Yeah.
And it's just like, motherhood is like, it is beautiful, but it's also like a mourning of the person you used to be. Like, you will never be that person again. That's not always a bad thing, but you have to grieve that.
Yeah.
And you also have to like find a new language with your partner on how you're gonna fit this new person in your life. I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's a lot. That's
a
a lot,
lot.
especially in a country that like doesn't actually like families and doesn't actually provide them with the resources they need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
And that's the thing is like, it's a part of a bigger conversation of just motherhood or parenthood is hell. It's like, it's especially hard in the United States where we're not supported. And so I don't think it's productive to pick and choose and just be like, she's saying that all parenthood is awful. And that's not what she's saying. It's the
No.
situation of that we find ourselves in the US primarily.
Yeah. And some of the responses I found a little odd because, again, I don't know if I should be interpreting this way because maybe I'm doing to them what they are doing to Chappell. But there were a lot of like young mothers who decided like, oh, like she's attacking young moms. And so they were like, I'm going to show you that like I'm happy and I'm a young mom. And I couldn't tell, like I didn't know like who it was for. Because it almost felt like this like ad campaign for being a young mother.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hey now.
That's funny because I've been inundated on TikTok of like, honestly, at this point, it's probably like 5 or 6 different women who are like 26 and have like 5 or 6 kids. And I'm seeing it like multiple and multiple and multiple times, probably because I sit there and watch all of them because I think it's a very interesting debate and topic that needs to be discussed more. But a lot of them are being like, I'm doing the best I can for my kids, yada, yada, yada. My kids saved me. Like they gave my life purpose. And a lot of the think pieces, which I think are correct, is like, hey, just be like, we have to stop normalizing this. Like we have to stop normalizing one, not family planning. Let's bring back family planning. And this is also coming from someone.
Planning.
My mom had me at 19. I'm like, my mom was a teen mom. I know how this goes. Did I have a great
Mm-hmm.
childhood? Yes. Would my childhood probably have been better if my mom was stable, had a career, had a steady income? Yeah. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean like you can still provide a good life for your kid, but the foundation of it is like you should be able to provide not just a livable life for your kid, but you should be able to provide more than just the bare necessities. Because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the arguments was like, well, I'm feeding my kids, I'm taking care of them, they're going to school. Okay, fine. That's like the basic things that someone needs to live, like food, water,
Mm-hmm.
shelter. You should be able
There's
to
like
provide
so
them
many
more
other
than that.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's I lost my train of thought here because I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking about all these videos. But it's just like
Yeah.
there has been a weird conversation about young motherhood, and I think it also does. Oh, I'm going to go off in a tangent, but it does
That's
kind of
okay.
correlate into our conversations that we've had about like trad wife, right
Yeah.
wing conservative propaganda
Mm-hmm.
of reproducing
Mm-hmm.
just in droves. And
Yeah.
it is a way of like, again, keeping women in the home. And I think this all
Mm-hmm.
kind of ties in together, and it's you can't extrapolate it because it is all interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing kind
Yeah.
of the rise in these conversations
Mm-hmm.
because of the conservatism that's in our country.
Mm-hmm.
And God, we always end up talking about the administration, but it always ties back to it
I mean,
of like,
but this is like how this happened.
yeah, there was like a really weird video going around of like in the
Mm-hmm.
White House, all these women talking about like how they're so excited for Trump because he's going to be like the president for women. And I think he like did some kind of conference or some kind of interview where he was like, I'm going to be the fertility president. I'm like, well, that sounds menacing. Stay
Yeah.
away from
I
me.
don't.
Um, and like it
Well,
all
it's because
ties back into each other.
well, also, I would like to say that most of the videos I saw from young moms
Hmm.
were white women,
Yeah.
because they don't want us having babies.
Yeah.
They want white women having babies
Mm.
to repopulate white people in America.
Mm.
Because, again, I think so much of this discontent
Mm.
amongst like the MAGA crowd comes from the fact that like the statistic of like white people becoming a minority lit a fire under people's asses.
Yeah.
And they're like, we need to figure out a way to
Mm.
have a white baby boom. It's not
Well,
a baby boom
yeah.
for everyone. It is a white baby boom. And I saw a video of someone, a black woman, obviously,
Mm.
saying that like banning abortion, yes, affects like marginalized groups, but they want it to target white women.
Yeah.
They want them to have kids and
Hmm.
continue populating with white people.
On top of that, if you think about the dichotomy of at once banning abortion
Hmm.
and then also being more pro IVF, who do you
Yeah.
think can afford IVF? It's
Hmm.
not the minorities because IVF
Nope.
is expensive. It's
Yeah.
not the minority population. It's
Hmm.
primarily white families who can afford those kind of treatments.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So, and that's the thing, is that it felt like an ad campaign of like trying to convince,
Hmm.
and I'm like, I do believe some of these mothers are very happy for
Hmm.
them, because I think it's a tough deal to have kids
Hmm.
under the age of 3 at any point in your
Yeah.
20s, because it's a time of self-exploration, and
Yeah.
I feel like we're devaluing that nowadays.
Mm.
Is that your 20s are really your time to like you need to solidify that prefrontal cortex.
Figure out
You
who
need
you
to
are.
figure out who you are. You need to figure out how to say no, figure out what you
Yeah.
want. Because like statistics have shown that most women that date based on their biological clock settle because
Hmm.
they're like, I need to find someone that's just like gonna be fine
Yeah.
so I can like start having kids, and like that's the want that they have.
Yeah.
I wish there was a better way to do it, because it is true we have biological clocks,
Hmm.
and we got to get on it,
Hmm.
if we want it. But I do think it's a little dangerous to push this idea that young motherhood is fun
Hmm.
for everyone. Again,
Yeah.
I mean generalizing.
Hmm.
Individually, sure, but to say it's fun for everyone, or that like they all have their resources, because a lot of these mothers that I saw looked like they were living in a nice house,
Yeah.
seemed to come from some level of affluence. I'm like, well, again, why would it be hard when you have the money and resources to
Mm-hmm.
take care of this kid. It's very different from mothers that don't,
Yeah.
who have to take care of a kid but don't have the means to.
Yeah. 100% agree.
I also want to say that I had to get off TikTok because it was starting to like really freak me out, because
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of child-free content.
Yeah.
And there is this like battle between women with children and women who choose to be
It's
child-free.
really strange.
It's strange because I don't think they realize that so many of their enemies are the same between the both of them.
Yeah.
And I think I've said to you that, like, I think there are a lot of great reasons to have kids. I think well, actually, I don't know. I think that okay, I'll say the only reason you should have kids is if you want them.
Yeah.
That's the only reason you should have kids. I don't think there's like, I don't know what other reasons there are to have kids
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
aren't like weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
like just if you want them,
if you want to move on your legacy, don't have kids. If that's the only reason is
that's
my legacy, don't have them.
that's a lineage, not
Begging
a
you,
legacy.
don't have them.
Yeah, if you
You're
want
sounding like
kids,
Alexander Hamilton, and we know what happened to him. Sorry.
okay. Yeah, that's not anti having kids, but like the main reason you should have them is because you want them and you want to
Yeah.
raise an individual,
Yes,
not
you
like
want to
have a
raise a
baby.
person, not have a baby.
Exactly. But I think there are a lot of good reasons to be child free, specifically for women, because it's like, you look at the research, like marriage and children have not benefited women, again, holistically and
Yeah.
historically.
Yeah.
Especially as, you know, legislators are trying to like get rid of no fault divorce.
Yeah.
That will basically make it harder for women to leave marriages that are like harmful to them.
Yeah.
Again, these are all compounding factors from the federal administration to like trap women in the home and control their bodies, control their money, control the way they move through life. And so I've seen a lot of videos from the child free movement, and they'll talk about like all these things about having kids. And people who have kids are like, I don't know why anyone who doesn't have kids feels like they can speak on this issue. And I'm like, well, we're not speaking about like the experience of being a mom. We're talking about like the textbook things that happen to every mother that put them at risk,
Yeah.
that takes away from their livelihood, and the ways that this country doesn't value you.
Yeah.
In many ways, sometimes you're advocates.
Yeah. And it's just, I think it is that we, as a society, oh my God, I'm going to say in a general sense, because why do we have to say that?
I
But
don't
like,
know.
everyone's taking it as a critique amongst themselves. I'm like, hey, not everything applies to you. Take it as an extrapolation of a collective experience. Obviously, there's going to
Yeah.
be some people who relate to it and some people who don't. That's fine. Stop taking everything as an attack. I think that's what
I
it is.
think, again, it's the what about meism. Everyone thinks that everything is about them. Like,
Mhm.
I see all these videos, and like, obviously, I don't have kids, but it's not
Mhm.
like everything a child-free person says I relate to.
Yeah.
Because there are things that child-free people say that are like inherently misogynistic and like
Yeah.
anti-children. I don't agree with that.
Mhm.
Like, being anti-children and child-free, weird.
Yeah.
What's a
Yeah.
kid ever done to you? They don't know anything
It's a
yet.
kid. They just
God,
got here.
and then also like being a mother and like judging a woman's choice to not have kids, also misogynistic.
It's very weird. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just like, I don't know what is going to be the thing to realize, like, hey, common enemy is still this administration.
Mhm.
So yeah, but I do like that people are having these conversations.
Oh, it's so necessary. Like, thank God we are. Like,
Yeah,
thank
and I
God we're
think,
talking about how hard motherhood is and that people are actively
yeah,
thinking about not having children because they don't
mm-hmm,
think either one, they would be a good parent, or if they have the
mm-hmm,
space or capability to be a parent. Like, more people should be doing that because so many people have kids because it's expected of them and they never think about the ramifications of what being a parent means for like
yeah,
me, myself, my relationship with my friends and family. And so,
yeah,
yeah, keep
because it
talking
can
about
be
it.
isolating.
Yeah.
Like that's in it's like I don't like when people come forward or parents come forward and be like, well, that's not my experience. I'm like, why are you invalidating someone else's
Yeah,
experience?
right.
You know,
Yeah.
like there are people that do not make it out of postpartum.
Hmm.
Like there are mothers that don't make it out of birth or birthing parents that don't make it out of birth.
Yeah.
Like you need to recognize that like this is not sunshine and rainbows for everybody, but
Hmm.
it's also not hell and back for everybody.
Yeah.
It's just like there's no prediction. I was talking to my coworkers today and my supervisor was saying that she had a friend who was pregnant and she developed an allergic, her body was reacting to the baby like it was like a pathogen and it was
Yeah.
attacking it actively.
Yeah.
What?
Let's stop acting like pregnancy isn't scary.
Yeah.
It is the
Like it's
miracle of
just some like
life, but like
fun
it's
thing.
scary.
It's really terrifying because
Yeah.
I don't call it a parasitic relationship in a negative way.
It is
That's
though,
just
like
factually what it
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It produces something that you wanted,
Yeah.
but it's tough.
It's also feeding off of you. Like literally.
Yeah,
Your
it's
body is
just like
providing it nourishment.
yeah, and also like our like and we were talking today also about like the birthing process and the way that like
Hmm.
hospitals and doctors like force you to give birth before you're ready,
Yeah.
which causes more trauma to the body
Mm.
because they're worried about like, well, I can't do this next Tuesday, so we need to get this done
God,
now.
and
And
that's
I'm
such
like,
a whole nother conversation of
yeah.
like the birthing experience. We can't get into that.
Nope.
But I'm gonna bring this back around to Chapel
Yeah,
and talk
sorry, we got
about
off
no, it's
hand.
okay. We're just passionate.
Yeah.
But the second part of the Chapel interview that was going around was basically her saying, why is everyone coming to me and wanting me to talk about like political stances and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Um, so I have a thought, but I'll let you start this time and tell me kind of like your thoughts on this.
Again, I heard it and I was like, yeah, sure. I think that she has spoken her mind in the past.
Hmm.
I do feel like most of the times when she's spoken, like some of them have been prompted by people. Like, we want to know how you feel about this. Like, speak on this, speak on this, speak on this.
Hmm.
Because the point that she made is that like a lot of these questions and the standards she's held to is because she's gay.
Yeah.
And I think that people equate gay to activist or
Hmm.
gay to being completely literate on all these issues. And
Yeah.
like I don't assume that Chappell Roan is any more literate on these issues than I am, than like
Yeah.
an activist is. Like that's not the work that she does full time. Like she is
Hmm.
a pop star. She is making music. She is creating visibility.
Yeah.
Like her work is not activism.
Yeah.
Even though that is a part of her work in the ways that she does advocate for gay people, for trans people in the
Hmm.
community, and like that is kind of like her lane. Um, so yeah, I didn't feel anything about it, but I can see how people would be like, well, you have been
Yeah.
political, which I think you brought up, so you can speak on that.
Yeah. I feel twofold about it. On one hand, I feel similar. I'm just like, okay, like actually let's take a step back and think about why we're always asking celebrities, influencers to be like fist raised in the air at all times. I just I think it's an odd
Yeah.
thing that's definitely come up post Trump election, like the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in general, I think we probably need to kind of take a step back and be like, why are we always wanting
Mm-hmm.
activism
Because
from
that's
our
my thing is
celebrities?
that because the one tiny thing I'll add, then I'll let you continue,
Hmm.
is that it's kind of like when people are like, Taylor Swift, you should speak about what's happening to trans people in this country. You should speak about this and this. I'm like, there are
Yeah,
trans artists that you could support.
yeah,
Like there are influencers that are talking about this. Like, why don't you support them?
yeah.
Like people act like these are the only people that can speak on this. And like, yes, they have the platforms and would it be
Hmm.
great? Yes. But it's like assuming behavior of people who have never done that. And like Taylor Swift
Yeah.
is a sticky case because she tried it and then kind of backed
Yeah.
off and whatever. And so that's the thing is if it's not baked into the brand, it
Hmm.
doesn't really make sense to be like, hey, you should talk
Hmm.
about this.
I'm glad you
Um,
said that. That's a perfect segue to what I've been kind of thinking on.
yeah.
And as I said before about media training and why I think it's so necessary, I think that Chapel specifically needs media training in order to set boundaries between Chappell Roan, the performer,
Hmm.
and Kaylee. And I know she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't like when we call her Kaylee, but I don't know how else to like discuss this in this
Yeah,
manner. But
like
like,
I'm not gonna call her Kaylee.
yeah, it's just like I can understand why fans are kind of upset because she has taken a political stance in the past. Like, I can't remember what festival it was at, but she was dressed as like Lady Liberty and kind
Oh,
of
Gov
talked
Ball.
about Guffball. So he's like talked about like the inherent freedoms that are kind of put on Lady Liberty. And
Mm-hmm.
then for that to happen and take these political stands and be outspoken and then kind of flip it in this interview, at one point she even says like I'm just a pop star. And I think it's difficult because for fans it can appear that she wants it both ways, like she wants to both be political in her stances but also then be like, well, I'm just a pop star, why are you asking me? And so I think it's a blurring of boundaries of the
Mm-hmm.
performer and the person, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that she probably needs to take a step back and kind of get coaching on like, in what lane am I going to step in, where am I
Mm-hmm.
going to be comfortable in making a stance as
Mm-hmm.
like the business persona, like the business and performance persona, and when am I
Mm-hmm.
speaking as like myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I think I don't remember what the question was, but I feel like if I not I don't know, if I was her, I would never be her. Love her, can't be her. But I think like the better way to answer that would have been like I have strong beliefs, I will voice them when they are relevant,
Yeah.
but there are people who know more than me.
Yeah. And I
Not
think
because
that's
it's
it.
not taking
Yeah.
herself out of the conversation, but like recognizing
Hmm.
that she's not the expert.
Yeah.
She's just a person who cares. And that's what it is. Is like she's a
Yeah.
person who cares.
Yeah. And like in a normal day-to-day basis, like something I was also thinking about is I feel like me and you know quite a lot. That's not like me being like, I know so much. But like we like are
Okay.
academics and like we keep up to date on this kind of stuff because that's kind
Yeah.
of our lane. But like not to go back on what I just said, but like Chappell is a performer. Like she's not gonna have necessarily the same
Yeah. Like
interest or
I'm not
want
looking
to like be up to date on like the latest political crisis, like what is going on here, what is going on here. And
yeah,
I think that's an
because
impossible standard to put on someone.
yeah, and I agree. Like I'm not looking to Chappell Roan for political
Yeah.
guidance because also we're overwhelmed by everything that's
Right.
happening.
Yeah.
And she's got like a job that never ends.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's like we know I'm not looking towards I'm not begging any celebrity to make a stance on
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
because like we're gonna be the advocates for what we want to advocate
Yeah.
for, and we're gonna be in our communities, they can be in their communities,
Yeah.
you
And on top
know.
of that, like it's okay to to be disappointed if
Hmm.
maybe she doesn't speak to something as much as you would personally want her to speak on. That's totally fine.
Yeah,
But that
for
doesn't
sure.
mean like she should automatically like do it. It's okay to be disappointed as a fan. That's
Yeah.
I think that's what fan service has kind of gotten out of control where like everyone wants to be catered to, and I don't think that's realistic. Not everyone's going to
Mm-mm.
be catered to, and I think that's fine. I think at a point we have to be okay to move past that. And if you know what, if
Yeah.
that really bothers you enough, then don't be a fan of Chapel. Like that's what that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to come across as dismissive, but it's just like
Yeah.
we're missing the point on like where our attention and anger
Hmm.
should be directed to.
Yeah. Yeah.
and and I know that sometimes misdirecting that anger feels more actionable than
Hmm.
like feeling helpless in this situation. But at the end of the day, like we need to be punching like even further up, okay?
Yeah.
Like
Well.
there's bigger fish to fry. So yeah, I don't know. I again wish nothing but the best for her. I don't
Yeah.
know why she was on Call Her Daddy. Not for anything about the interview, but it just felt like off brand.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I know she's promoting The Giver, but they only talked about it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a weird choice. I
It
didn't
was,
understand
it
it.
was an interesting choice that I don't
Yeah.
necessarily think
Yeah.
should have
But I
happened.
mean
Yeah.
it's a popular show, so I guess. But yeah. But
I think we talked that to death.
yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. But I think we should end on something positive,
Yeah, I'm excited
which,
about this one.
yes, because, okay, here's my thing.
Hmm.
I am not like a Selena Gomez stan. I've had my criticisms of her in like different mediums that she's
Hmm.
tried, like music acting. Love her makeup.
Oh my
God,
God,
it's
yeah.
good.
So good.
God, it's amazing. I'm wearing the eyebrow gel right now.
Love it. It looks great.
Um, I feel like my relation to Selena as a musician is that like I've never like been intrigued by a lot of what she's done. I loved what she was
Mhm.
doing with Selena Gomez in the scene. I thought that music was so fun. Um, but it did feel like something outside of like her range.
Yeah.
Which is not a dig, but I do think that artists should like know their range and like really play to their strengths. And then
Hmm.
she's come out with bops over the years. You know, Hands to Myself, bop.
Oh my God,
Uh,
so good.
so
You know what I
good.
was thinking about? Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you real quick.
Go
The
ahead.
song that I feel like I listen to and never meet another person is Me and My Girls. Have you ever heard
Oh my
that?
god.
It's kind of like
No.
Latin-y and like salsa-y. It's
I
so
love when she
fun.
gets Latin.
It's so fun.
I love when
I'll
she remembers
listen
her
to it
last
after
name's
we get off.
Gomez.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. When she's like, wait, I'm half Mexican.
Wait, this is me.
No, and like even like Bad Liar, that single when that
So
came out, I
good.
was like, I love
Obsessed.
when again like she played to her strengths of kind of her vocal
Yeah.
range because she doesn't have
Hmm.
a wide range, but there's something you can do with it. Like you can play
Yeah.
with that. Um so as everybody freaking knows, she is engaged to producer Benny Blanco.
Hmm.
And you know what? At first, everyone was clowning them because they don't
Hmm.
find Benny very attractive. And then he was like, actually, let me get on Jay Shetty's podcast with my girl and talk about the
Hmm.
ways that I respect her, love her down, and have a completely healthy relationship with her. And everyone was like, I claim this love. I want this. And I'm like, oh, so now you want it.
Now you want it now. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I knew the minute they got together, I'm like, I
He
know he
treats
treats
her
her well.
well. He treats her
And
well.
not like, oh, I'm worshiping her. Like obviously he's like every day I tell her she's beautiful so she knows. I'm like, okay. Um but it's like the way they talked about handling conflict
Yeah.
and like knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses. He's like, what can I do to like uplift her today? And the way he was phrasing it, I'm like,
Yeah.
someone has cooked,
It's so
sizzled,
mature.
and
Yeah.
grilled here.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the thing is that like I just like she seems so much more mature in this
Hmm.
relationship, and it just feels like something
So
where she's
healthy.
come into her own.
Hmm.
And quick aside about the motherhood thing, but like Selena has talked about wanting to be a mother and has recently revealed that she cannot be one because of her
Mm.
lupus concerns, which
Hmm.
breaks my heart. I hate when
Yeah.
people who want kids can't have kids.
Yeah.
I'm like boo hiss,
I know.
actually. Um but like to be able to navigate that with someone who like fully understands what's going
Yeah.
on and like willing to pursue alternatives is like I think
That's
very powerful, very
amazing.
lovely.
Yeah.
I know. I'm very happy for her. I listened to that podcast and I was just like I
Oh.
was like, wait, I'm so happy for my friend
Love,
Selena.
love.
Yeah. Um, you know, I love it. I love it. I love it. I also love that he's so in love with her.
Yeah.
Anyways, but they decided to come out with an album called I Said I Love You First that is supposed to kind of like track a lot of like their relationship, how they came together
Hmm.
and their love. And I wasn't going to listen to it again, like not a big Selena fan, but I was like, I'm going to listen to it because I don't know what
Hmm.
else is happening in pop culture. I really liked it. I
Okay.
thought, well, one, I forget that Benny Blanco has a stacked resume.
Oh my God, he's so good.
I
He's so
I
talented.
went back through the credits. Let's just list a couple. TikTok by Kesha.
Yeah.
Teenage Dream, Katy Perry. I'm pretty sure
Hmm.
We Are Who We Are. Kesha. Moves
Hmm.
Like Jagger. Maroon 5.
No, like he knows what he's doing.
Hits, 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 hits.
Hmm.
Okay? You know, it has worked with a lot of people. And the production on this album is great. Like I
Hmm.
love the instrumentals. The mixing is so good. And it feels like a cohesive album with the exception of like a couple songs
Hmm.
that truly plays to Selena's strengths from beginning
Okay.
to end.
Yeah.
Like I'll pull out a couple highlights just for time. Like the first song is called Younger Than Hotter Than Me. I do feel like her vocal performance could be a little bit more like breathy. It's not
Hmm.
bad, but
Hmm.
it could be doing more, but it's so like the production is gorgeous, the
Okay.
instrumentals are good. I think the lyricism on this album is some of her strongest yet, and just like
Yeah.
the insecurities of like, man, everyone at this party, which I can believe at a Hollywood party, younger and hotter than me.
Yeah.
I could never be at a Hollywood party.
No.
I'd throw myself out a window. Because and what I wanted was her vocal performance to be my favorite song on this entire album is Ojos Tristes, Sad Eyes, featuring the Marias. And I'm like, Oh, this is Selena's Register. I was
Ooh,
like, oh
okay.
my God. It's like synthy and ethereal and everything. And
Ooh,
like the
okay.
Marias, I don't know if you've ever listened to their
Mm-mm.
music. They're like a band. They do a lot of like ethereal, like atmospheric sort of
Yeah.
music
Okay.
that's kind of rocky. But it's such a good song. And like, again, I love when Selena remembers she's Latina. Because my other favorite song, oh, what's it called? Oh, oh, it's called I Can't Get Enough. I wish the production was a little bit
Yeah.
louder, but I'm waiting for a remix because it has J Balvin on it. Oh God, I
Ooh,
was like
okay.
sitting at work
Wait,
listening
I'm
to it, and I was like
excited.
shaking my hips. I was like, wait, this is so fun.
Put me in a
It's
club.
so good. The one song I also really loved. I don't know if you would like it because it really is kind of like a Brat deluxe track because Charlie XCX helped write it. It's called Bluest Flame, and I was like, wait, Selena's voice is so fitting for Charlie's style.
Yeah, I could
And
see
I was
that.
like,
I could see that.
again, another thing I would pump fist to at the club.
Yeah.
Yes, I think the only song I was like, about is Call Me When You Break Up featuring Gracie Abrams. I am not going to get into anything about Gracie Abrams, but here's what I'll say. It felt so off putting. I was listening to it, I'm like, what does this remind me of? It reminds me of a Miranda Cosgrove song when
Okay.
she did a cover of About You Now, which I love. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like something on a Miranda Cosgrove album, which is such a
Okay.
random thing to say, but it
Okay.
does. It's
Yeah.
like pop punk when the rest of the album is kind of
Is not.
like it's just very textured and this feels so out of place. But
Okay.
then I took it back. I took that back
Okay.
because I think I don't know if it's on the deluxe album or something, but there's an acoustic version that's slowed
Yeah.
down. It's more like ethereal, kind of like the rest of the. I'm like, wait, this makes
Okay.
so much more sense. And the other one like was so like it felt more like light and like poppy, but this one felt like kind of sad. And I was like, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, I did say that the hearing Selena speak Spanish gave me Amelia Perez flashbacks, and I was like,
And that's just what that is. I mean, like,
um, yeah,
we're not there
but
yet.
no, it's like good. It's like it's not the most exceptional thing I've ever listened to, but like
Does it have to
I
be?
think it
Like,
doesn't have to be, and also
yeah.
like God, let people make pop music again. That is
Yeah.
like fun, and like I'm so glad that I love when like couples work together and
Yeah.
it doesn't lead to their demise.
Oh God. Yeah. Because it often does.
Yeah, it's good. It's a fun
Yeah.
album.
Okay. I'm
And
gonna have to listen to that. I'm curious now because I
yeah,
do
because
love a
I
lot of
think you'll like
Selena's
a couple
earlier
tracks on it.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like she did make hits.
She makes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
that's my
I'm
thing is
glad that
like,
she is like playing to her strengths and not trying to like
yes.
belt and stuff like that because that's just not where she excels and that's fine.
Yeah, I don't
Um
need her belting.
yeah. So I'm very curious to listen to it. Um
Yes.
and you know what? Recession pop might be here. We might be,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna say might be, we are.
We're here,
There's
girl.
also Miley's putting out an album,
Oh
and
my
I'm
God.
so
Can we
excited.
talk about this? Because the
Yeah.
prelude and Something Beautiful, there's a new song coming out
hmm
tomorrow.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm sorry, this is the most like sonically interesting work I have heard from
Yeah.
Miley, maybe ever. Like, it just
Yeah.
feels like she's finally pushing the boundary, which I'm surprised she's never done because she's always kind of done that personality wise.
Yeah.
But sonically, it's never matched up sonically, even though
Yeah.
love bangers. Bangers is a banger. I
It
love that
is.
album.
Yeah.
And I feel like she has said that this is kind of like her take on Pink Floyd's The Wall because there is going to be a film that
Okay.
accompanies this as well.
Love that.
And I'm just like, yes, Miley Cyrus, you are a well-beloved American icon at this point. I
hmm
want you to I want you to make your magnum opus. I want you to make that body work
Yeah.
because you have one of the best voices I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Make the music to match.
And I'm really excited for this because I do feel like Miley tries so many different things. And
Mm-hmm.
because she has such a fan base, it
Mm-hmm.
usually succeeds in one way or the other. Because I know her
Yeah.
last album, I wasn't a huge fan of. There's like a couple
Mm-hmm.
songs. Flowers, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's a single, it's fine. I like
Mm-hmm.
River. I think River's so fun.
Oh, River's
Um,
so
it's
fun.
so fun. But like, even if I feel like there was kind of like a critique about it where we're just like, it's like fine. But like, she still got critical acclaim for it. And she's just
Yeah.
always been supported. And I love that she kind of has like this space to
Mm-hmm.
explore all these different genres. Like she had bangers, and then
Yeah.
she had I was I was gonna say
She's
the
like
I was
younger now,
yeah.
where she did like
Um
the country thing
yeah, and
and
those like the rock album. I'm forgetting what it's called. You'll know
Plastic
it.
Hearts.
Plastic
I
Hearts.
love that
Yeah.
album.
And she just like
um,
tries different things, and like I think she's probably maybe with this next album finding her lane, and I'm really excited.
yeah, and even if she doesn't, I think like she is known for kind of being a chameleon and just
Hmm.
like I think we talk about like Taylor Swift and eras, and I'm like Miley Cyrus does eras. Like
That's her
she's like,
era.
actually,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do anything like the last album. And I appreciate that because she
Yeah.
has said that she's not interested in touring anymore because she's
Hmm.
like, it's strenuous and I hate it. And I'm like, that's fine
Yeah.
if you just pour your life into bodies of work that are interesting.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew it was gonna be good. And again, we haven't heard all of it.
Hmm.
But from what I've heard, I really like it. The instrumentals are so cool. I knew it was going to be good when the album cover was released.
Stunning.
I was like, oh,
It's stunning.
in Archivo Mugler? Come
Yeah.
on. Yeah, I'm excited. She did work on this with her current boyfriend,
Okay.
Max Mirando, who, if you don't know, he's not really a known quantity. I
Mm.
only know him because I used to be a big fan of the band The Regrets, and
Mm.
he was, I forget what he played, probably guitar.
Okay.
He was a member of that band. And so when I found out they were dating, I was like, what a weird connection. Because I
Yeah.
know he's like a bit younger. And like when I see them together, I think it's so funny.
That's so
But
funny.
he like helped write and produce some of this. I was like, damn, that's a good
Okay.
relationship then because she's producing art.
Ooh, I'm
And
so
I'm happy to
excited.
hear it. Me too. If we're gonna suffer, I want a good soundtrack.
Oh my God. Let me listen to some hits.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go get
I
a
need
little drunk,
people.
a little
I need people
tipsy.
dancing in the clubs again.
Yeah.
No more
And you know
shaking
what? I
shimmy.
feel
I
like
want
we're going
y'all.
to this summer. We
Yeah,
don't have a choice.
yeah.
Like,
I went to like a mayhem dance night and it was lovely.
okay,
It
nice.
was so good. Um, and I was like, more of this, more of
Yeah.
this.
Hmm.
So we're gonna get there.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah,
Wow. What
but
an episode.
God, we had so much to say.
So much to talk about. Maybe we're on a pop culture upswing. I really hope we are.
Knock on wood. Yeah, I hope we are.
Yeah.
God. Well, thanks for talking to me.
Oh my God, thanks for talking to me. And thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, we'll catch you soon. Talking about who knows what.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.